unbelievable stuff. Let's talk to Sarah Pochin, who is, of course, the Reform UK MP for Runcorn and Helsby. Sarah, very good morning to you.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing this morning?
Very well indeed. Baffled by the ineptitude of this government on every single day that passes. You know, I was kind of laughing the other day when it turned out that as a result of your party's challenge to the dismissal of all local elections, that they suddenly worked out, oh, it might be illegal. You know, Keir Starmer was meant to be a lawyer, isn't he? How does he not know that it was illegal, what he was trying to do?
Well, that was utterly humiliating, wasn't it, for Keir Starmer yet again? And of course, every time something like this happens and the government is U-turning, the confidence in the government is just getting lower and lower. In fact, I doubt there's any confidence left in this government because they're going to have done so many U-turns. There was a map cartoon today, I think it was the Telegraph, saying they'll have done so many U-turns, they'll be back where they started. Well, I mean, we shouldn't laugh really, but it is absolutely shocking what's going on. And that court ruling, of course, they had to back down because they knew that in the courts, Reform were going to win that case. And we have some excellent lawyers. And I think the message is that Reform will take on the establishment and we will win. And it's what we've all been saying now for months and months and months. It's about the will of politicians to make things happen. And the court ruling, what happened yesterday with returning democracy to 4.6 million people, or Monday, should I say, is exactly that. It's about taking on the establishment and winning, where so that we can be fair and we can restore democracy to the country.
Indeed. And yesterday, once again, Reform kind of very much leading the headlines, I have to say, and I'm not just saying this because, I like you, but the Reform kind of production of events is so good. So much better than, because when you think back to things like, old Wooden Starmer walking onto the stage, Theresa May dancing, do you remember that sign behind her that fell down, all of that. I mean, the Reform, I don't know who you've got doing it, but I mean, it's very slick, isn't it?
It's amazing. I actually sat there in the front row, and I literally couldn't stop smiling just at the whole event. We've got an amazing guy called Aaron, actually, who's in charge of our events team, and time and again they just pull it off.
Yeah.
We had Birmingham the week before, and the Veterans launched the week before that, and they just pull off the most amazing events. And yesterday, I thought the whole way that the stage was set out, and some of the journalists today, the political sort of sketch writing type journalists, are saying it looked more like a game show than a political event. But no, do you know what? It was really impressive. And I think the 5 individuals, or Nigel plus the 4 individuals he launched as sort of the most senior members of his shadow cabinet, and I think we can call it a shadow cabinet. We are the party of opposition. Everyone is listening to Reform. So I think it was a pretty impressive lineup.
I agree. And also, as I say, I mean, there's a bit of snobbishness around Westminster, isn't there, in the whole Westminster bubble. And, it's not very presidential or it's not very parliamentary. But, if it's more like a game show than politics, then that's good because people like game shows. People like watching them. They want to be entertained. It's not about just being stiff and wandering around and saying opportunities all the time like Keir Starmer. Let's have a look, actually, at what Nigel Farage said to the Financial Times, the world's most left-wing newspaper. This was good. Have you got that one, Pooch? Let's have a look.
My first question's to Zia Youssef. You've no doubt seen the incredibly violent scenes unfolding at the hands of ICE in the US, and yet you've boasted about creating the UK's version of that here that would round up hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants and deport them. Do you really believe that the British public want a Trump 2.0 immigration policy? And my second question is to you, Suella. You went to a private school that charges £17,000 a year.
Oh dear, you better emigrate, I think. I mean, clearly, it's absolutely appalling. What a terrible human being she must be.
Not at all. Richard, Nigel, Robert and Zia, I believe, all went to expensive private schools.
Very good. What fun.
What do you say to members of the public who might query your party's commitment and belief in state education? And are you able to confirm whether your children go to state schools?
By the way, I love the FT. It's fantastic. The day after the big Mandelson story broke, your front page politics story was about a reform councillor in Kent. So we'll leave it there and we'll move on. We'll leave it there. There's no point. There's no point. Just write some silly story tomorrow and have fun with it. And we won't bother to read it. Peter from...
I mean, he's right, isn't he? I mean, also, what are the chances that the girl asking the question, the woman asking the question, also probably went to private school, because most journalists at the FT did.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And look, I think that what Nigel was showing you there is we need real questions. We're about real politics. Ask us something, sensible that the people want to hear an answer to. We're all fed up, and I see it all the time in the chamber of this theatre, this nonsense. I'm asking serious, important questions of the government, and yet I just get, shouted down or laughed at or dismissed, it's shocking, the behaviour that goes on in the chamber. And I think Nigel's just making the point there that, look, we've taken the time to invite you, FT journalist, whatever her name was, ask me a sensible question. If you can't be bothered, we won't give you the airtime.
Policy. I mean, that's what Donald Trump started to do with some of the left-wingers in the US kind of media, and he just thought, what is the point of answering the question, because they'll just twist it in any event. And I mean, I'm speaking as a journalist here, and I guess I'm really disappointed, actually, in the level of journalism that this country has now kind of produced. They don't do proper stories. They're slavishly kind of pro-Labour. No matter what happens. I mean, like Nigel said, the day after the Mandelson story broke, they didn't even put it on as the main story on the front page. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and look, we will, of course, answer sensible questions from left and right-leaning newspapers. The Mirror were there yesterday, The Guardian, they asked questions, we answered them. But, if it is just a ridiculous question, that is just clearly aimed at trying to, trying to get some ridiculous headline that's totally missing the point. Look, Suella Braverman there, very talented, heavyweight politician, taking up such an important brief that is education and skills. And we've seen this morning, haven't we, unemployment's gone up to 5.2%, the highest level for 5 years. But most shocking of all is unemployment now for 16 to 24-year-olds is the highest it's been for 10 years. It's at an all-time high. It's absolutely on its knees, that sector. And partly, look, I could talk about my constituency of Runcorn and Helsby. There is not one single further education college in my constituency. There is only one school that has a sixth form. One school in the whole of my constituency that has a sixth form, and no further education facilities. That is what we should be talking about. How can that be possible? And that's exactly what Suella is going to be looking at. So some stupid question about where she went to school is utterly irrelevant, to be honest. We'd have to be looking at this age group of young people now, which are not in work, not in training, not in education, not in employment. It's absolutely critical, because this is what feeds through into the future. And so there's going to be no skills. There's going to be a whole generation of people that are not properly educated and are not in work. That's a frightening statistic.
It is. I mean, the Sun today have got a spread on pages 8 and 9, generation jobless. And I mean, as a parent, you obviously feel very concerned about this. I do. I mean, I've got a son who's currently at university. He's finishing in May. And he's got a degree which is sort of specifically in music management and that kind of thing. But the hospitality business is contracting. He's not sure if he's going to be able to get the kind of job he wants, never mind any kind of job. But they've got some stats here. 16% of under 25s unemployed is a 12-year high. 45% of those out of work at 24 have never had a job. And Britain is now worse off in terms of unemployment than the whole of Europe for the first time ever. And it's not getting any better, is it?
It's not getting any better. And the whole issue about, university, whether it's worth going, the loans, of course, there's this big issue at the moment about loans and the shocking situation of the interest rate payments that some students are having to pay now. I mean, my personal view on student loans is that you should only have to pay back what you've borrowed. I think that's fair enough. But clearly, that whether it's Tory government followed by the Labour government, but there's a whole mess now, isn't there, of the amount that students are having to pay back. But basically, a lot of students are coming out of university with no job prospects at all and saddled with huge debt. And the point that we were making yesterday, and Suella Braverman made, was that instead of, this mantra that was a Blairism of 50% of young people should go to university, no, we want to reverse that and say 50% of young people should be going into trades. It doesn't matter how much AI comes our way. AI is still not going to be able to plumb in a tap or do your electrics or plaster your walls or build your houses. We need skilled tradespeople. And I've always thought that the whole Blairism of dumbing down the importance of apprenticeships and skill-based training was so wrong, and sending all these young people off to university to come out with no jobs.
Yeah, exactly. And the bottom line is, you'll know this from your own constituency, if the figure is 16% of under 25s that are unemployed, there will be parts of Britain, and perhaps Runcorn will be one of them, where that figure is a lot higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Runcorn is one of the most deprived cities, towns, I should say, sorry, in the country. And as I say, no further education facilities at all. One sixth form. There's nothing for young people to aspire to. And one of my biggest problems is, Runcorn is marooned by two bridges, if you like. And so getting people and employers can't find employees because we have a problem with bridge tolls and there's all sorts of things in some of these deprived towns which nobody inside the Westminster bubble gets, which stops growth and stops social mobility. And I've asked so many questions in the chamber, written to ministers, asking for help on all these issues, things that will enhance prospects for young people in my constituency. And it just falls on deaf ears. Partly because I think it's up in the north, and anything north of the M25 they really don't care very much about at all. And partly because they genuinely are privileged, don't understand, and I'm not convinced that they're that interested. I would love to drag some of these ministers up to Runcorn and see the deprivation that is caused through lack of opportunity and lack of social mobility.
Yeah, exactly right. Here's one for you, though, that I found incredible this morning. Inflation figures came out just around about 9 o'clock. Actually, no, it's not 9 o'clock yet. I've gone mad. About 8 o'clock, sorry. Just throwing myself in. It's because of those clocks behind me. I don't know what time it is. Inflation falls to a 10-month low. I mean, I was making the point, I was buying some sardines for my dog yesterday because he likes the sardines from Waitrose in water.
Wow, that's a posh dog.
I know, very posh dog. £1 a time now. They used to be 60p, right? Just about a year ago. They've gone up 40%. I don't know anything that has come down in price. I don't know anybody who tells me when they meet me, oh, isn't it great because, apples and bananas have gone down in price, or, my electricity bill's gone down, or my petrol. No, nobody's prices are going down. How is it possible that inflation has fallen to a 10-month low? There must be some witchcraft being practiced in the Treasury, no?
Well, do you know what? I'm glad you said that because I was reading about that this morning myself, and I actually read that it was due to airfares and food prices coming down. But again, I'm like you, I go and do my weekly shop, but I really can't see any decrease in prices. So the only thing, I mean, unless it's just the demand in airfares that is going down, that therefore obviously will drive prices down. But I haven't flown off anywhere recently.
No, me neither.
Reform don't do holidays, Mike.
I can't afford to. I was just going to keep working, now until I die, basically. But no, I mean, I think there's definitely a weird measure that goes on where the basket of goods and services, whatever it is that they use, is not reflective of reality. Because, like I say, I used to do this all the time at my other job at Talk. I'd say to people, let us know what the price of food inflation is, and how much is your weekly shop, all of that, and not once did anybody go, oh, I've found a real bargain. Car prices have come down, or my road tax has gone down. People are paying more in tax. They're paying more in, and lots of people self-employed have just paid a massive tax bill at the end of January. There's no way that prices are going down.
No, I didn't understand that either. But what I was going to say as well is there's no growth, is there? There's absolutely no growth in the economy, and they're talking about now, because of the inflation going down, growth is at zero. Then maybe interest rates will be cut. We'll have to wait and see. But the point is that I feel, and I think the British people feel, that this Labour government is doing absolutely nothing to enable growth from the bottom up in small businesses, for example, now absolutely crippled by national insurance contributions, crippled by the minimum wage that they're going to have to pay. Although we read today, don't we, that the headlines are coming. Are they going to U-turn on the minimum wage? And then there's going to be business rates, and then there's going to be this dreadful workers' rights bill coming in. So in every which way, small businesses, which are the bedrock of the economy, are being absolutely penalised. So there is zero growth, and whilst there's zero growth, a country cannot prosper.
Let me play you a little video here, because it was Pancake Tuesday yesterday. I don't know whether you did anything about that. Pooch, can we do the Starmer pancake video? This is about as cringy as anything you've ever seen. Check this out.
Chancellor, I've got something for you.
Oh, very good.
Come in.
You all right?
Very good.
Is this your box?
Happy Pancake Day.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Are you going to have one as
I hope you
well?
like it. That's what I keep in here.
Very good.
I mean, what do they think they're
Oh my
doing?
God.
What do they think
Well,
they're
for a
doing?
start-
Because not only is it not a genuine proper, it's like an American-style pancake for a start that you get in a
huge.
diner.
Yeah.
So they haven't made
Yeah.
it. Somebody's, they've sent somebody out to get it, bring it in, put it into a red box, fake a kind of, funny, little sketch where, Rachel goes, and it's like, it's just totally
It's
hopeless.
so cringe.
It's awful.
So cringe. Yeah, it's so cringeable, Mike, isn't it? And at the end of the day, this is our Prime Minister and our Chancellor. I mean, it is absolutely cringeworthy. I actually didn't get a pancake last night. I came up from London on a train late last night. I'm back in the constituency. I'll be back in Runcorn very soon after finishing speaking to you. So I didn't make it as far as pancakes, but I like those really thin ones that you could put lemon and sugar on. I don't like those great big American,
Like the ones you get
like you say,
in
ones you get from the
France, in
diner.
Paris.
Yeah, the nice little ones, the little sophisticated ones.
Yes.
I like, Mike.
Yeah, do you know,
And it makes me laugh.
I'm a great cook. I don't mind admitting it, but I've never actually made pancakes. I've never never really tried to make them.
You know what we should do, Mike? We should get Pooch to get a little stove thing, and I'll come in. Let's flip some pancakes. We
We'll
can
flip
make
some
that
pancakes.
video so much better than the Prime Minister and the Chancellor. It could be
Yes.
the Mike and Sarah pancake flipping show.
It would absolutely flipping tremendous. Yeah, great.
You know what you should do, Mike?
Great
Mike,
to see you, Sarah. Go on.
Right, you should call me Poach, because if you called me Poach and you've got Pooch, that's quite sweet, isn't it?
Pooch and poach. Yeah, I like it. Well, we've already got Pooch's pooch, because we're doing dog videos now as well. Do you want to have a look? Have a look at this. This is a dog, right, who has reunited with the guy who rescued him. And this is beautiful. Have a look. It's brilliant.
Oh,
Wow. Isn't that lovely?
that's very gorgeous, isn't it?
It's a bit like what Zia looks like when he's going into Nigel's office, right?
I tell you what, Zia Youssef is my hero. He is so formidable. The day that I can debate like Zia, I know I'll have made it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Sarah, great to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Have a lovely weekend. I can't believe I'm saying that on a Wednesday, but there we are.
Yeah, it's only Wednesday. I've got a long way to go, mate.
I know. I know. It feels like a long week. I don't know why. Sarah Pochin, MP, of course, for Reform for Runcorn and Helsby up there in the northwest. So good to see her. And big stories in the papers today.